Welcome to Omni View, episode 123 for July 25th, 2026. Multiple perspectives, one briefing. Here's the news, the perspectives, and where to look next. Saudi Arabia's strike on Yemen's main port raises the risk of wider disruption to Red Sea shipping that carries fuel and goods for millions across the Middle East and beyond. Saudi Arabia carried out strikes on the port city of Hodeida in Yemen. The Saudi-led coalition stated the action responded to attacks by Iranian-backed Houthi rebels on Saudi shipping. The strikes follow a pattern of exchanges between the two sides. The coalition issued its statement early Saturday. Hodeida functions as a major entry point for supplies into Yemen. The Saudi-led coalition views the port as a critical supply route for Houthi forces. It argues that hitting it is necessary to protect commercial vessels in the Red Sea. Iranian officials and Houthi statements frame the strikes as an escalation that endangers civilian infrastructure and deepens foreign involvement in Yemen's civil war. Shipping companies and governments that rely on the route have noted potential delays in fuel and container traffic. The scale of any immediate effect remains unclear from initial reports. Regional governments continue to monitor whether additional strikes will follow in the coming days. AP News details the coalition's statement and Houthi attacks on shipping. Shifting now to protests in India. Thousands of young people have joined street demonstrations across India while also posting memes, parody videos, and jokes targeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi on social media. The protests combine traditional rallies with online satire. The content has spread rapidly through digital platforms. Organizers describe the humor as a way to reach younger voters and keep pressure on the government without immediate confrontation. Government supporters see the approach as disrespectful to national institutions and argue it distracts from policy debates. Observers note that both the street actions and the online content have spread rapidly. Their long-term effect on political support is not yet measured. The combination of physical gatherings and digital posts allows the demonstrations to reach audiences inside and outside major cities. AP News reports on the combination of rallies and social media content. Next, a change at the International Criminal Court. The International Criminal Court has removed Karim Khan from his post as chief prosecutor following allegations of sexual misconduct. The court announced the decision without detailing further steps at this stage. The removal centers on claims of misconduct raised internally. Court officials emphasize that the removal reflects the institution's commitment to internal standards and accountability for its own staff. Some governments and legal groups that have worked with the ICC welcome the move as necessary to maintain credibility in ongoing cases. Others, including voices from countries under ICC scrutiny, question whether the process was transparent enough and whether it affects pending investigations. The decision leaves the court's prosecutorial office without its previous leadership while cases continue. BBC News covers the removal announcement and allegations. Meanwhile, wildfires continue near Madrid. Wildfires burning near Madrid have been described by a senior official as impossible to control under current conditions. High winds are expected to complicate firefighting efforts in the coming days. The fires have prompted assessments of available resources. Spanish authorities have focused on evacuation orders and resource allocation to protect populated areas. Local residents and regional governments stress the immediate need for more equipment and personnel. Meteorological reports highlight the role of dry conditions and wind in the fire's spread. Forecasts indicate little short-term relief. Officials continue to track how shifting wind patterns may affect containment lines around the capital region. BBC News provides live updates on the Madrid area fires. Reuters notes wind forecasts and official assessments. In technology developments, NVIDIA and South Korea's SK Group have announced a joint plan for AI data centers valued at more than $500 billion. The initiative includes a memory chip partnership. It covers construction and technology supply over multiple years. The partnership focuses on memory components needed for large-scale AI systems. The companies present the project as a response to growing global demand for AI infrastructure. Industry analysts note that SK's memory expertise complements NVIDIA's chip technology, potentially speeding up supply chains. Governments in both countries have signaled support for such large-scale technology investments as part of broader industrial strategies. The multi-year timeline allows for phased development of facilities and component production. Reuters outlines the scale and partnership details. Now, some progress worth knowing about. Lebanon continues to produce educated workers, yet chronic political and economic problems have driven many to emigrate. Recent discussions have focused on creating conditions that would allow more of them to build careers inside the country. The country's universities and training programs continue to generate skilled graduates. Lebanese institutions and diaspora networks point to the country's universities and professional training as sources of talent that could support domestic recovery if governance improves. International organizations have noted that reducing emigration would require steady progress on basic services and security. The main complication remains the slow pace of political reforms needed to retain that talent. Efforts to address these issues center on improving everyday governance and economic stability. The Economist examines the link between governance and retaining skilled workers. Now, to really understand this story, there's something most coverage leaves out. Most coverage of an ICC prosecutor's removal treats it as a simple personnel decision. Yet the court structure gives the Assembly of States Parties, the body of member countries, the formal power to remove the prosecutor through a 2/3 vote after an independent review. The process begins with an internal investigation by the court's disciplinary mechanisms. It then moves to the Assembly for a final decision. This creates multiple layers that aim to balance independence with oversight. This setup was written into the Rome Statute to prevent any single government from easily sidelining a prosecutor. It also means removals can take months and require broad diplomatic agreement. The Rome Statute established these steps in 1998 when the court was created. It drew on lessons from earlier tribunals where political pressure had interfered with prosecutions. Knowing this, when reports describe a removal as sudden or politically driven, readers can check whether the Assembly vote and the underlying investigative report have been made public. The Assembly's role ensures that no one country can act alone. This protects the court's independence while still allowing accountability when evidence of misconduct emerges. The concrete detail to verify next time is whether the Assembly has published the timeline and vote tally for the removal. Checking the official record also reveals how many states participated in the decision and whether any formal objections were recorded during the process. If you want to go deeper on the Saudi-led strikes in Yemen, compare how AP News and BBC News are covering it. You will see two different frames on the same facts. Tomorrow, watch for whether the Assembly publishes the full timeline and vote tally on the prosecutor removal. That's Omni View. The news can feel heavy, but understanding what's actually happening and what's being done about it beats doom scrolling every time. Stay curious, pick one story from today and read it from a second outlet you don't usually open. If balanced perspectives are valuable to you, share this with a friend and subscribe wherever you listen. See you tomorrow, and if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at Nara Network. Links in the show notes. This show comes to you from the Nara Network. If you want another sharp daily briefing, Unintended Consequences has you covered. True stories of good intentions that backfired. All our shows are free at naranetwork.com. Prefer reading? Today's full write-up, sources, and transcript are on the episode blog at naranetwork.com. Same briefing, readable format. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.